Hello there, shortcuts. This is video 2 for this week's list of shortcuts black gold. This is the classic rock and pop list. There's quite a few albums on this list this week, and I'm going to flick through them pretty quickly. Quite a few are in the $35 mark, so I'm just going to give you heads up on those. But the last few weeks, the $35 list has been really popular. And so the back half of this selection, all but the Eat the Peach, are $35, and I'll just remind you as you go. But some of the ones up the front here are a bit rarer than that. And so if you would like to be on the price list but aren't, drop me an email, shortcutsrecords@gmail.com. For those of you who are into podcasts, I will be on a podcast that's getting released tomorrow. That's Monday. That is the 1001 album Complaints, and I'll be appearing as a special guest. It's a US podcast talking about the Pogues, Run, Sodomy, and The Lash. Now, this list is pretty extensive, and I'm going to flick through them pretty quickly with a couple of exceptions. Where to start was pretty easy. First time I've had this in I don't know how long. This is the Japanese first press of Electric Ladyland by Jimi Hendrix. Now, it is a hard cardboard gatefold, and it is an interesting inner. So that was just a quick glimpse. So for those of you who know what this looks like, you know what I just quickly gave you a glimpse of, and it's pretty cool on this record. You can see the back all in Japanese. That's why there's no insert, and these records are fantastic condition. I played it earlier. It plays great. This is a force of nature. This album is absolutely extraordinary and deserves its place on every list, in every accolade. This blends blues and psychedelia with a showman's flair in a way that was incendiary at the time and continues to be so. I played Voodoo Child Slight Return to Finbar in the car about 6 months ago. We were in the driveway, and we both stayed there in absolute transfixed by what we were hearing. This guy still owns it, and I think it is a cosmic journey that should be in every collection. Whether you love it or not, it is undeniable. It is a nailed on, stone cold masterpiece. Now, this particular pressing is my favorite of all the ones that I've heard. There is a later, a modern repress that is out there that is really good. This one I've done a comparison to, and I find this one a little bit warmer, a little bit more studio echo, a little bit more expansive. And so, whilst I love that repress, this one is still my go-to. I think it is an absolute legacy record. You could go through every single track. You know, considering this was really his last studio album with The Experience, and we know where he went with the Band of Gypsies. This is stupendous and one of the great double albums. Now, I wish I could show you more about what is in there. If anyone wants some photos, etc., just ping me separately. All right. I very rarely have compilations, but I'm making an exception for this compilation because it is genuinely great. Kate Bush's first 5 records has to be one of the all-time creative bursts, and it is compiled in The Whole Story, which is a gatefold. This is the Japanese first press of this. Wuthering Heights, that was recorded with a new vocal, if I remember at the time. Cloud Busting, The Man with the Child in His Eyes, Breathing, Wow, Hounds of Love, Running Up That Hill, Army Dreamers, Sat on Your Lap, The Dreaming Babushka. absolutely remarkable. And it is so nice hearing this record on Japanese vinyl. It just sounds supreme. What can be said about Kate Bush that hasn't already been said? Her music is singular, cinematic, essential. All right. I have 3 records here by one of my favorite bands, which is another rarity for me. I don't tend to do this, but I think these Japanese presses of this particular band are well worth it. I love Roxy music. I had all of their records long before I started this Shortcuts journey, and every one of them has been replaced by the Japanese presses because they're wonderful. I have Avalon, Country Life, and my favorite, For Your Pleasure. The centerpiece of For Your Pleasure is something that I've made into a t-shirt, and it is that. What an unbelievable centerpiece that is. You have For Your Pleasure, the second Roxy music album. Brian Ferry, Andrew McKay. Interestingly, not Brian Eno, according to the sleeve, just Eno. Paul Thompson, Phil Manzanera, and the guest artist John Porter on bass. Look at Eno there. I just love this record. This record came on my radar in a really weird way. NME, way back in the day, asked a series of contemporary pop stars to list their top 10 albums of all time. And Morrissey sent a reply in saying, I only have one. It's Roxy Music's For Your Pleasure. And I explored it. And from, I don't know, how do you describe For Your Pleasure? If you're intrigued by songs about sex dolls and about murder, then this is the record for you. It is kind of baffling. I think it is one of the greatest albums of the 70s. Country Life is, part of that batch of Sirens and so on that were really, really great. The debut album is wonderful too, but For Your Pleasure, I think, is the one. I know a lot of people think Country Life is better, so I can't deny how good Country Life is. You've got the thrill of it all, Out of the Blue and Prairie Rose. I read some blogs recently that argue the case that Country Life was their peak. I guess it has some tension, and it's very grand. It's a big sound. McKay's sax is especially brilliant. And then Avalon is a record that's special to my heart because one of my kids was born to a song from Avalon. I've had some of you tell me that Japanese press of Avalon is the best sounding record that you have in your collection. If you love that simmering, more than this ballad style, this is where, Roxy Music owned Sophistopop. All right, I have 2 Led Zeppelin records here. I have the P10105 Led Zeppelin 1, which is, I think, a really nice balance on quality of sound and price, because a lot of earlier than this Japanese presses of Led Zeppelin 1 are really, really expensive, but not better than this one. So it's one I always grab. And this, which is the P10106 of Led Zeppelin 3. Now, part of what's great about this particular copy is, if I can find it. It's not there. Anyway, P10105 and P10106, Japanese Led Zepp 1 and Led Zepp 3. For those of you who haven't found those. What's funny over the years, because I have a list of, how many of various versions I've get. Presence is really easy to find. Physical Graffiti is really hard to find. Led Zeppelin 2 and Led Zeppelin 4, pretty easy to find. And then in that in between, 1 and 3, just that little bit trickier, especially to find in as clean and as kind of beautiful condition these two records are. I could make an argument, I think, that Led Zeppelin 3 might be my favorite Led Zeppelin album. It's the one I reach for a lot. And I have a holy grail. I have the Led Zeppelin 2 and Led Zeppelin 4 classic records releases from 1995. They're kind of audiophile presses. I just love them. I found both of them. I've won both of them on auction. Led Zeppelin 3, that classic records release in the mid 90s, is nosebleedingly expensive, but is one of my holy grails. So I don't know. We'll see. In time, maybe sometime, I'll find a way to find that record and have it. Now, a bunch of these records from here are $35, and a lot of them are records that you will know. So I will just describe some of what I like about these records, and so just assume from this point onwards 35, except there's a couple of exceptions. There's the two exceptions are the Creedence record and the Allman Brothers record. Everything else is 35 from here. So let's get to it. This is, I would say, interestingly, if you asked Melissa, what's Stephen's favorite record? She might well pick this, because of the times that I've sat and listened to it with her. And it is this. The band's second self-titled album. Across a Great Divide, Rag Mama Rag, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, Up on Cripple Creek, and my favourite band song, Whispering Pines, sung by Richard Manuel. It is, I think, a perfect song. And then on side 2, you've still got Rockin' Chair, Jawbone, The Unfaithful Servant, and King Harvest Has Surely Come. These Japanese Capitol Records represses are really, really nice. And there's no question that this is a cornerstone of Americana music, even though you get some Canadian DNA in here. Garth Hudson, Richard Manuel, Lee Von Helm, Rick Danko, and Robbie Robertson. Now, I have a very good friend, Virgil. I hope he wouldn't mind me saying, but I suspect he would say Rick Danko is his favourite member of the band. I think they're just one of those bands that everyone has a favourite. I love Richard Manuel. And it's just a pleasure to have it in the list. I don't get it that often, so it's just really nice to have it there. All right. Hugely influential album for sure. I've had a really nice run of Creedence Clearwater records over the last little while. And it is really nice to have this one at last. This is Willie and the Poor Boys by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Down in the Corner, Feeling Blue, Fortunate Son. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It is one of those songs that is so good that you could just buy the album for that track and you will still have a lot of fun with it. This is the album that Vinyl Me Please chose to showcase in its essentials, in its vinyl essentials run. And I think partly it's because it has a weird, almost conspiratorial tone. It's got some really odd things. If you think about the second track on side 1, It Came Out of the Sky. Honestly, I think it is clearly about alien invasion. And so this album is certainly more quirky than some of their others. I think that makes it a little bit more consumable. Cosmos Factory is great, but you know what? 12 minutes of I heard through the grapevine just doesn't work for me. I want to get 4 Creedence songs in 12 minutes, not one. It's kind of got protest. Obviously, it's got the protest angle. Fortunate Son. I reckon Fortunate Son must be one of those songs that's appeared on more movie soundtracks than just about any other. And I'm pretty sure these fancy brown labels are the first press, but I will double check for Wednesday. Now this I know I've never had before because I had to go and check it, and I think this is pretty great. This is 10cc's Bloody Tourist, the Japanese first press with Obi. Dreadlock Holiday, Shock on the Tube, Tokyo. Look at this. Just in immaculate condition. I don't know why I've never had this before. I mean, I suppose Dreadlock Holiday kind of anchors this record in FM radio, but according to the notes, the view from Shinjuku is that this has never been played. I'm not quite sure about that, but it is in spectacular condition. So for those of you who love this record and maybe have a tatty copy, an inexpensive $35 purchase will get you a near mint Japanese first press. How about that? All right, this is a perennially popular record for me at the record fairs, but it doesn't, I guess not so many of you grab it from the list, but I'm going to put it out today anyway, just because this is the hard cardboard ABBA Greatest Hits Volume 2. And interestingly, whilst they call it Volume 2, it is significantly better than Volume 1. And in Japan, one of the biggest selling records in the history of Japanese music. Gimme, 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 knowing me, knowing you, take a chance on me, money, 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 Dancing Queen, Does Your Mother Know, Chiquita, Summer Night, In the Name of Love, The Name of the Game, Thank You for the Music. It is, whilst they call it Volume 2, it is, maybe other than Fernando, everything you need. And it is in fabulous condition, hard cardboard goodness. I know there are ABBA fans out there who tell me this thing sounds great. I mentioned there's one record here other than the first press Credence. This record is not $35. All the others in the list are. This is the first press on Capricorn Records of Eat a Peach by the Allman Brothers. Now, interestingly, this record has become a perennial in my box only in the last 18 months. For the first 2-3 years of Shortcuts, I never got this record. And I think part of it is because it's just because so many of you like it and have told me how good it is. This cover is great. Look at that. Insert hard cardboard again. Really, really nice condition. There's a couple of little dings, but it's great. And, the studio component of this record is second to none. And you all know how much I love Duane Allman in particular. That's a complete prize. If you don't have that, I'm telling you now, a lot of people's favorite record. The sonic standard here is super high, and it is a worthy tribute to the death of Duane Allman. Okay, I've got a couple of $35 Beatles. We've got Let It Be and the slightly rare Magical Mystery Tour. Now, what's lovely about this copy of the Magical Mystery Tour is it includes the 24-page magazine. Oops. It's got all sorts of, really cool pictures and stories and funny tidbits of the Magical Mystery Tour. And one of my favourite Beatles records, albeit, some people say not really a Beatles record, but I really like it. How can you not? Hello, Goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, All You Need Is Love, etc. What else do we have in the $35 lot? Oh, yes. This. Another one of these great Japanese gatefolds. This is Born to Run. 2 words is all you need to understand why this thing is an absolute classic. Thunder Road. I also have one of these little kind of oddities from the Rolling Stones, which is actually really good. It's Metamorphosis. This is Curious, 1975, an official compilation of demos, outtakes, and oddities, actually from the 60s, and wasn't fully sanctioned by the band, and so kind of is a bit of a weird history, but it is produced by Andrew Oldham and Jimi Miller, and it has some fantastic records, or fantastic songs. It is really, really worth having if you don't have it, and that Japanese copy will be $35. I have 1, 2, 3 to go. This one I've never had before. Now, this is the only EP on tonight's list, and it's an unusual one. It is the Japanese press of Words with the Shaman by David Sylvian, of course, from Japan, the band. And so this is real kind of art pop sophistication, and it's got Aug30 from it in it, who's, we all know is got kind of that quirky, therefore that more out there vibe. And so this is particularly collectible. It's got a really nice insert. Sound quality is really high. A very unusual one. And so they put it in because they're well aware that there's some people in the group, and Chris, you know who you are, who are into Japan and into these kind of 80s EPs. And so that one is really interesting. That one's from 1985. And it's kind of a sweet, it's kind of, really interesting. All right, this one has just exploded. I cannot believe how popular these Deep Purple records have been. So I've got another just delightful hard cardboard gatefold of Machine Head on the green, first press, Warner Brothers label. This thing just smacks. And so again, I think I'll only have, maybe this might be my last copy of this, I'm not sure. I can't keep getting it forever. And then I'm going to finish with something I think really cool. This is the only Australian record I've got today, and is because I actually quite like it. This is the Australian first press of Flash in the Pan's debut album. And for those of you who know Before, you will recognize this. It's on the Albert's label, and you can see it is absolutely pristine. Absolutely 100% near mint for an Aussie record from that era is unheard of. And the only reason I know this to be the case is because it came from Japan. So this one winged its way over to Japan and has found its way back again. The sleeve also just fantastic. I think this is kind of a bit of a cult hit, of course. Definitely one of Australia's more unusual late 70s exports, and was more influential on the New York, apparently, according to the notes from Shinjuku, considered to be quite influential on Japanese New Wave. I suppose it has that kind of really dry kind of narrative style, and it really appealed. And it has that Vanda and Young production legacy as well. So there you have it. Always gotta have something quirky on there. That's Flash it in the Pan. All right, please leave a comment. Let me know if anything tickled your fancy. Very, very curious about anyone's history with Electric Ladyland, Jimi Hendrix. And if you are not on my price list but would like to be, drop me an email, shortcutsrecords aus@gmail.com. Over and out.